Thanks for tuning in to the Real Real Podcast. I'm Drew.
I'm Dan.
Let's be real for a moment. Learning to say no is your Uno reverse card, and we're going to teach you how to play it today.
That's right. For the next 15 minutes, we're going to teach you how to use your Uno reverse card in the form of a decisive no, and how to empower yourself with saying no to people, because that's okay.
It is okay to say no, and that's really what we want to nail home here. I want you to leave this podcast episode and know that you can say no. So there's several problems with the inability to say no. And I think the first and probably the biggest problem is it causes codependent behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason it does that is because you're only concerned, maybe not only, but you are very concerned with others' needs. And if you're concerned with their needs and you can't be concerned with your own, you're setting yourself up for failure that way. You have to have the time. We've said this before. This is something that we're going to preach from now on, really. You've got to create the time in your schedule to do this stuff. It takes a lot of time.
Right.
It's hard work. It's a lot of work. And you have to create the time. So if you do say yes to everything, you're not going to have the time.
It's going to feel selfish because you are being a little selfish for once. And you need to sometimes.
Personal development requires a level of selfishness. And it's not a stingy level of selfishness.
Right.
And I know that doesn't really...
It's not the bad connotation of selfishness.
Yes.
And if a loved one should be able to see this sort of selfishness and support it, because it's different. It's not the same stingy type of selfishness, like you said.
Right. So don't be codependent. That's what we're saying. Don't say yes so much that you are more concerned with others' needs than your own, or you can't be successful.
Or their opinions. You really shouldn't be giving other people's opinions so much value over your own.
At all.
At all. Well, maybe your wife's opinions
Maybe
should matter.
your wife, yeah. Spouse or loved ones.
Brother.
It does matter.
Father.
A little bit. Just a little bit.
Dog. List can go on.
The second big reason is being a people pleaser. And you've heard about people pleasers in your life.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of a negative connotation.
Yeah, I know I can be one for sure.
I'm not.
I compromise. I like peaceful resolutions. Or
Dan will walk to the other side of the road to avoid conflict, and I'm the opposite. I'll go to the other side of the road for the conflict.
That's right. It's a perfect example.
So I have a challenge for you and you. Google famous people pleasers. He's doing it right now. Google famous people pleasers and see what comes up, because you're not going to find a whole lot of information about any of them.
We'll see. I'm hoping to prove you wrong, just for the point of it.
Give us just a minute. Google's slow.
21 former people pleasers.
Former. And they've recovered. I guess. So the point is, you're not going to find very many articles.
Or Reddit users.
You're not going to find very many articles of people who you would look up to in your life that are people pleasers. They have a level of selfishness that allowed them to reach that status in their life.
Yeah, all the top hits are people saying they used to have a people-pleasing problem, or they recovered from having a people-pleasing problem. Jennifer Lawrence, Will Smith, Bella Hadid.
It's PP Anonymous. People Pleaser Anonymous.
PP Anonymous?
Yeah.
What a club.
And really the last thing is your cortisol levels are going to go up because you're going to be more stressed out. You got too much stuff to do. Chill out.
Yeah.
Quit doing so much. Quit saying yes to everything because you have too much stuff to do anyway.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah, I already have enough on my plate. I can't say yes to everything. It's okay to say no.
It is.
Get your time back. Own your own time.
It's yours anyway.
It's true.
So, speaking of time, when should you say no?
When you don't have the capacity, the skill, or talent to accomplish the task, I'd say.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Probably the biggest one would be scheduling conflicts.
Yeah.
If you're just booked anyway, or if part of, say, your daily routine, your morning routine, nightly routine, something that you do every day, if it's going to get in the way of you going to the gym, you're going to have to do one of two things, because you can't not go to the gym.
Right.
You have to either reset your schedule to allow more time to go to the gym, or you just have to say no. And the easiest way to do that is say no. It's 2 letters, 1 syllable, man.
Right. You can't help your grandma move and have a wedding on the same day at the same time. Like, you have to tell one of them no, and
you're probably going to tell your grandma no.
You're
I
probably
would
tell a gram no.
I don't live with her.
Yeah.
Another really good time to say no is just to prevent burnout in your life.
Yeah.
Um,
Burnout's huge.
it's something I've experienced so many times, and a lot of the time it's because I did agree to work that Saturday or picked up the extra shifts because they were in need of bodies
Yeah.
to be there, and you really do get stressed out whenever you can't tell your employer no. Especially, it will stress you out. You have to learn to say no.
And like I said, knowing the limits of your abilities, being incapable of doing a task or something that's asked of you.
Yeah,
If you can't do it, don't say no. Then you're putting yourself in even bigger jam. Something you can't do and don't have the time for.
I'm gonna back up for a second. Also,
Oh yeah.
I have a little statistic to share because you know how much I love those. I went to iamright.com to find this one. 77% of American workers have experienced burnout in their current careers, the one that they're doing right now.
I'm getting close.
And usually it's because they agree to take on more tasks than they're capable of for whatever reason.
That makes sense. Usually
But 77%, over 3/4 of American workers have experienced burnout in their current career fields. And that is incredible. That tells me that 77% of people don't know how to say no. That's why we're doing this episode.
You can say no.
You can. We'll say it again too. Yeah, I want to speak a little bit more about your capabilities as well. It's a really good time to say no, and you have a great reason to say no if you're incapable of the task that is being requested. It's a great time, probably the most important time to say no, is if you are incapable because you're really going to fuck something up if you don't know how.
It sounds like a well, duh kind of moment, but we've all done that. We've all been like, I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that.
Can you build an addition on my house? I'm sure I can watch a YouTube video and figure it out if you're going to pay me well enough.
Yeah. I mean, and there's a fine line where, I mean, confidence can get you a certain amount of way, but if you physically aren't capable or you don't have the skill set to complete that task, it's okay to say no.
The absence of capability leaves a gap open for liability to come in.
Right.
And that's the issue with doing that. You don't want to be liable for fucking something up, like I said.
Yeah, and there's a limit to fake it till you make it, right? But there's a difference because
subconsciously, I think that is important to fake it till you make it. But for your conscious mind, conscious decisions such as saying yes or no to a requested task, that's different.
It is different.
You fake it till you make it for your subconscious mind to believe it. So it has to be a very powerful thing that you're trying to create in your life before you decide to fake it.
Yeah, if you're faking it till you make it, it's something you are capable of already. We're talking about things that you aren't capable of.
And first I touched on having time to complete the task.
Mm-hmm.
And another really important part of that is your self-care. And there's a lot that goes into that, more than just time, but time is a huge portion of it. So if you're not allowing yourself to do that self-care, you're not developing. So saying no allows you to develop more. And I assume that's why you've tuned in today.
Yeah. You need time for rest, like we've talked about before.
Yeah. Rest is really important. So yeah, guys, I hope that helps you out with knowing when to say no. We've talked about this before, and we really wanted to elaborate on when you should. Not even when it's okay. It's always okay to say no, but when it's important to say no. So now, for the best part of the podcast, we're going to tell you how to say no. And we've done a lot of research. There's been countless hours of research that's gone into learning how to say no. And it's something that both of us, I think, have mastered. It takes 10,000 hours to become a master of something. I'd say we put 10,000 hours into saying no.
I've at least said it 10,000 times.
Yes, so. That qualifies. You're a master of saying there. No. We don't do anything we don't want to do is what we're saying. Except for spouses and loved ones, dogs, cats.
Brothers, mothers.
I don't want to clean the litter box, but I do like having the cat around. So.
Don't have a cat.
You could have a kid, too, and ask them to clean it. They probably wouldn't, but it's worth a shot. So, like I said, the important part is how you should say no. And the biggest part of my research on this episode from my end was a book written by William Ury. And I have a quote from him, and I'm paraphrasing here. This really isn't a quote. But William Ury argues that our desire to say no is not to be contradictory, but rather to stand up to a deeper yes, which is what we believe to be true, right, virtuous, and necessary.
Hmm.
So the way that you say no is yes, no, yes.
Yes, no,
It's
yes.
really like yes, no, yes. We'll give you a scenario of when you should say no. And I'll try to use something that's very easy for really anyone to understand. Like even if we have some younger people listening, it's easy for them to understand. So if your grandmother asks you to mow her yard, the way that you would use this yes, no, yes format is you would affirm that she needs her yard mowed and let her know that you understand that she does need her yard mowed. The other yes that you're saying there is to yourself or to your own time, your own capabilities, or anything that we've discussed before. You're saying yes to yourself because you can't make it there. You can't mow her yard.
Right.
So you affirm that she needs it mowed. You say no. And the really important part of saying no is to say no once. I have another little note that I've written down there, and it says to use a clear no once so that it is understood.
Right. Be decisive.
Yes. And we can only hope that the target is actively listening and that they do understand. But this is a great way to, even if people don't actively listen, if they're listening with an intent to respond to your no, you're still helping them actively listen subconsciously. So your no has to be clear.
Mm-hmm. And the power of no, I have a quote from Judy Sills. Wielded wisely, no is an instrument of integrity and a shield against exploitation. It often takes courage to say, it is hard to receive, but setting limits sets us free. Another thing that sticks out to me from that is it is hard to receive. I feel like people are scared of what the no might get them into in terms of other people's opinions. And that's something that you really shouldn't put too much value in. You should value your own opinions.
Right.
And not live your life for someone else's opinions.
This is the most important part of this, is learning to say no.
Right.
The no is the most important part of the statement. Your last yes that's posed in the form of a question is asking the target what you can do to help them if you can't complete the task. You explain, hey, I have a friend that mows yards. He'll probably do it for $30. Do you want me to send him over here?
Yeah, give them an alternative.
Yeah, an alternative. So it makes this much more palatable for the target, the person that you're talking to. It's the easiest way to hear no. And if you take a moment and imagine what it would be like to be told no in this format, it's pretty easy to hear. Like I said a minute ago, it's very palatable.
Yeah, it's decisive and easy to take.
Yeah.
It's a firm no, but also it's surrounded by two pillows of yes.
Yeah, something I heard in therapy one time that really goes hand in hand with this. It's not about saying no necessarily, but if you have to give someone something negative, if you have to correct someone's behavior, sandwich it in between a positive, a negative, and a positive. It's more palatable for them to hear. This is just
it's exactly
the exact same thing, but in saying no. This is the easiest way for you to say no to people in your life that you have to, or even if you want to, because it is okay to say no.
Yeah, we're giving you permission. You can say no. It's okay.
Enjoy this empowerment that we have hopefully given you today, and go use your reverse no.
Start living your life like you're the star of No Man, not Yes Man. If you aren't subbed to us already, please hit the subscribe button. Take a few seconds to do that. It helps us, and you can keep notified when we put out new stuff. We're out here every Monday, so
5 a.m. Monday morning at 5 a.m. Hopefully you are rising early with us.
All right. Until next time, let's be a little bit better and a little more real.
You guys have a great Monday morning.